You ever come home after a brutal week, just desperate for your own couch, a cold beer, and a few hours where no one needs you to solve anything, then walk right into the most absurd, jaw-dropping mess of your life? Yeah, that was me, rolling up to my quiet place on Elmage Drive, fresh off a forensics conference in Denver, still half dreaming about 12 hours of peace, maybe even a nap with my shoes on. Instead, I open my door to what can only be described as a crime scene minus the yellow tape. The smell hit first. I'm talking a gut-punch blend of stale pizza, spoiled milk, unwashed bodies, and something so uniquely awful it should be illegal. My hardwood floors, which I'd polished before I left, were buried under a landslide of pizza boxes, empty beer bottles, greasy plates, and was that actual mud? Maybe worse? My 65-inch TV was blaring, flies doing aerial acrobatics over stacks of rotting leftovers. There were stains on my leather couch that made my skin crawl, cigarette burns in the carpet, and a trail of toilet paper running from the bathroom like some deranged scavenger hunt clue. Let me back up, a SecMe basement's always been my fortress, a man cave with the works. Expensive electronics, my favorite recliner, a stocked bar, all the little luxuries a cop treats himself to after 20 years on the force. That day, the sound of heavy feet stomping around down there shot my blood pressure through the roof. Hand went aware my service weapon usually sits reflex. Instead, I found something way more infuriating. There he was, spread out on my Italian leather sectional like some sunburned Jabba, the Hutt Bradley Hutchinson, neighborhood legend for all the wrong reasons. Karen Hutchinson's only son, a grown man who still lived like a middle schooler home alone for the first time. He was wearing my Batman tee, stretched past recognition, gym shorts barely holding in his stomach, eating from my plates, drinking my beer, and propping his filthy, unwashed feet right on my glass table. 6 pizza boxes deep, greasy hair stringy around his face, looking up at me with zero shame. "Oh, hey, mister Barker," he mumbled, barely pausing mid-chew. "Didn't expect you back so soon. Karen said you'd be gone for like 2 weeks. You want some pizza?" The arrogance was staggering. I almost laughed almost. This wasn't just trespassing. It was a full-blown occupation. My pool cues being used as back scratchers, video game controllers tossed across the floor, my Close Me actual clothes scattered everywhere, most of them now completely ruined. Mini fridge wide open, empty. Dirty plates stacked, so high the flies had organized a union. "Bradley, what the hell are you doing in my house?" My voice low and deadly, the kind that makes suspects confess and even make him flinch. "Relax, man," he said, rolling his eyes. "Karen said it was cool. She's got keys, told me you two had an arrangement. She said you're never here, and I could use the space. I'm trying to get my life together, you know? You know what I mean? There's a moment where you realize the gap between someone's version of reality and actual reality is so wide, there's no point even arguing. But I tried. I explained, slowly, carefully, that I'd never agreed to anything, that breaking into someone's home and moving in wasn't getting your life together. He stared at me, as if trying to solve a riddle with crayons, completely unmoved. Then it flippied got aggressive. All 300 pounds of him surged to his feet, finger jabbing at my chest, voice cracking. "I've got rights. I've been here 6 days. I'm a legal tenant. You can't kick me out." He screamed about police abuse, threatened to call the cops, completely convinced his squatters' rights trumped actual law. I could barely believe what I was hearing. So I lost it. Not physically, not yet. I told him clear as I could this was criminal trespass, theft, and destruction of property, and he was leaving tonight. His eyes flashed, but behind that aggression I saw panic. Still, he doubled down, yelling about his independence, claiming his mother worked hard to set him up, threatening me, the homeowner, in my own basement. That's when he snapped and charged. Let me be clear, he dealt with violent felons twice his size, but rarely have I seen someone move with so much rage and so little coordination. I sidestepped, put him down with an elbow to the gut, and made my point with a pool cue he turned into a scratching stick. I let him know my patience was gone, my home was mine, and there were consequences. Of course, that's when the cavalry arrived, Karen herself, shrieking down the stairs, leopard print tracksuit, wild hair, the whole 9 yards. "Get your hands off my son, you animal!" She actually tried to pull him away, screaming that I was abusing her baby. It was chaos, her screaming, Bradley whimpering, me holding a pool cue. The whole scene perfectly staged for a reality show. And then, the piece de resistance sesh calls 911, claiming there's a violent black man threatening her son. Her story spun faster than the flies in my living room. You want a twist? Here it is. She's describing me, a detective for Springfield PD, as some criminal, while standing in my house, which she broke into. I tried to explain, but she was committed to the performance grind to dispatch about her innocent baby, describing me as armed and dangerous. My own colleagues would be the ones responding. Yeah, that happened. When the squad cars pulled up, Karen went full Oscar hopeful, dragging Bradley into her arms, sobbing about being trapped in the basement by a madman. The officers Martinez, Chun, Rodriguez knew me. Their faces said it all. Embarrassment, confusion, a little bit of this is going to be one for the books. After some awkward introductions and a lot of shouting from Karen, the truth came out. Security cameras, evidence of break-in, my name on the deed. Even then, Karen tried to pivot, claimed HOA board privileges, said the house was going to waste, and she was helping the community. Rodriguez deadpanned. Being on the HOA doesn't mean you get to duplicate someone's keys, ma'am. Bradley, finally realizing things were spiraling, panicked, and did the one thing nobody expected. He tried to escape through a window. Let me paint you a picture. 300 pounds of pizza-fueled panic, wedged in a window, so small, my cat barely fits through it. Legs kicking, Batman shirt riding up, muffled screams of help from outside. Firefighters had to be called. Mrs. Patterson from across the street brought popcorn. Neighbors filmed the extraction, 2 bottles of dish soap, a hydraulic spreader, and 3 firefighters later, Bradley emerged on the lawn, soaked, sobbing, covered in suds. The applause was real. Back to business, Martinez asked. Press charges? I didn't hesitate. Karen and Bradley were booked for every charge in the book, breaking and entering, false statements, resisting arrest, you name it. Karen's expression when she realized the victims were getting cuffed? Priceless. But the real show was in court. Karen's lawyer tried to paint me as some racist villain, claimed the whole thing was an elaborate trap. Karen doubled down on the witness stand, ranting about affirmative action and how people like me get everything handed to them anyway. Judge Coleman shut that down so hard the prosecutor was grinning. The gallery was dead silent, and Karen's own lawyer looked like he wanted to crawl under the table. Bradley tried to claim he was looking for work, but under questioning, admitted he'd spent 6 days settling in. Karen, thinking she had one last ace, blurted that I didn't deserve my house. The mask slipped all the way off. Everyone in the courtroom saw who she really was. The fallout? Karen got 6 months in county jail, probation, and had to pay for every bit of damage. Bradley got 3 months, probation, mandatory job training, and, for the first time in his life, held down a real job at the local warehouse. The HOA threw Karen off the board. 3 families moved rather than live next to her, and my house, after renovations paid for by their restitution, looked better than ever. A few weeks later, Mrs. Patterson brought over a casserole and apologized for not speaking up sooner. We laughed about Karen's new reputation. No one wanted to buy the racist house anymore. Martinez texted, Bradley showed up for work again today. Captain Morrison's telling the window extraction story at every party. Even Bradley texted me an apology, awkward but real. Maybe he'd finally learned something. Sitting in my new leather chair, cold beer in hand, I looked around at my perfectly peaceful, perfectly secure, perfectly mine basement and couldn't help but smile. Justice doesn't always look like a TV show. Sometimes it's just getting your house back, watching entitled people face the consequences, and knowing that the neighborhood, maybe the world, is a little bit better for it. Now, you tell me, what would you have done? Did justice get served? Or does the system need to tune up? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's see where the line really is between standing up for yourself and letting people take advantage. Community is built on more than fences. It's built on knowing when to say, not in my house.